All right, I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press today. I'm going to be reviewing Clive Barker's The Great and Secret Show, Book 1 in his trilogy called The Books of the Art. Right now, this is Book 1. Everville is Book 2. This one came out in 1989. This one came out in 1993. Book 3 still ain't been published. So all you people that are wondering, about when's George R.R. Martin going to come out with his book, it's been 10 years. When's Pat Rothfuss going to come out with his? It's been 10 years. Well, people that have been following the Books of the Art trilogy, it's 1993. I don't know the math on that, but that's like, what are we, 2002? That's almost like 59 years that we've been waiting. Or something like that. Like I said, I'm not a good math person. 1993 to 2002 would be 93, 2003, 2013, 2023 minus a year, that's 79 years. 79 years we've been waiting for Book 3 from Clive Barker, so I don't want to hear your complaints. What is this about? Well, we always review the covers. I don't know what to say about the cover here. I got these trade paperback versions. I know that there's a real glossy, fancy hardcover version, but this is it's all right. It's all right. I don't know if it really says anything about what the story is about, but whatever. Oh, so what it's about, we'll review the book now. Let's start to review the book. What is this about? This book is essentially about the Books of the Art, the 3 books, the trilogy of the Books of the Art, or at least the first 2 books that we've got so far, are about this idea that Clive Barker came up with, that we all share a collective consciousness within our DNA. We all humans share a collective memory. Much like, let's say in your DNA, you go back and let's say your grandfather fought in World War II in Germany or something. And, maybe you go and you visit Germany and you have deja vu or something while you're there. And it's not really anything that you've seen per se, but your DNA carried on from your grandfather that was there at maybe the concentration camp or whatever it is you're seeing that's causing deja vu, or you get that feeling like, oh, I've been here before, right? Well, it's your DNA talking to you from your ancestors. And also, this is another theory that he came to that explains humanity's propensity to believe in God. Because with all of these sort of alternate universes, it's also about alternate universe theory. With all of these alternate universes and our DNA speaking to us and our collective consciousness of all humanity, all combined into one, it creates these alternate universes. And he decides to name these alternate universes within his Books of the Art quiddity. And everybody's exposed to quiddity, but the 3 times that they're most exposed to quiddity are when they're born, the first time they make love to the one true person that they love. I mean, not just to anybody, but it's not your first time you make love. It's not the 700th time. It's the first time you make love to someone that you actually really love. Then you enter into quiddity, and you enter into this dream, these alternate universes. And so it very rarely happens to people, because people really never, their one true love, most people just never find their one true love. Then the 3rd time that it happens is the moment before you die. So really very few people are exposed to this alternate universe, but when they are, they experience these other dimensions, and these other dimensions and all the things that go on in them, this other unit's called The Great and Secret Show. God, I hope I described that. I hope I described that well. So what happens is we open up with a great opening scene of a guy named Jaff. He's a post office worker, and he's there's all these lost letters. He collects the lost letters and he kind of goes through them. And the thing, which is not really what he's supposed to be doing, but he kind of collects these because a lot of the lost letters that he's finding speak about this alternate universe, this quiddity, this collective unconscious. And so he's really starting to be like, hey, like one of these conspiracy theorists, what's going on here? And then his boss notices that he's collecting these letters. He stabs his boss to death. And anyway, it's just a really kind of cool opening scene. And then we jump to California, where we've got these 4 teenage girls who go skinny dipping in this lake, and there's a dude up in the woods kind of creepily watching them, right? And so these 5 characters and these girls go skinny dipping in this lake, and they all get sucked under the water, and it looks like they're dead, but then they arise from the water, and they've all experienced sort of this weird phenomenon. But then what's weird is 3 of the 4 girls, they've never had sex, but yet they give birth to these kids, so they're kind of like virgin births, sort of a thing. And so then the main story though, is about these children that were born of this phenomenon where these girls went skinny dipping and they were sucked into the water. It looked like they were dead, but then they came out of the water. They're pregnant, and then they have these kids, and now the story is about these unnatural children that they had, and about this, how they're navigating through this, because they've all now got a heightened sense of what this quiddity is, this shared consciousness. And it's kind of cool. It's just a really cool, I mean, it's got a lot of stuff you love in horror. I mean, it's very based in real. One of the characters is Mormon. Okay, one of the things is one of the characters is Mormon, and I applaud, because I grew up Mormon and I went on a Mormon mission. I know everything about Mormonism. I applaud Clive Barker for doing his research on Mormons, because he gets it 99.9% right, and all that I can think of is that 0.5% that he didn't get right. Because that's the way we are. I mean, the guy smashed it out of the park with his research, but I'm going to mention the one thing that he didn't get right about Mormonism, and that's Mormon leaders. They're not called bishops. They're called bishops. They're not called pastors. See, I almost fucked it up. Every time a Mormon bishop was mentioned in this book, instead of calling him a Mormon bishop, he called him the Mormon pastor. Well, there's no such thing in Mormonism. Everything else you did pretty good. Everything else you got right. But I'm going to point out the one you didn't get right. I mean, it bugged the fuck out of me. Anyway, it's a good book. It's a good horror novel. It spins into some, like everything else Clive Barker does, it just spins into some weird stuff. And it's just one of his, I think that this book and Everville, the books of the art, are some of his most eloquently written works anyway. I mean, every word, you want to follow every word of this book, because it's just so well done. I mean, the guy can write. People think that these horror writers like Stephen King or Robert McCammon, and some are just, they just think it's pulp horror fiction and it's just not worthy of anything. But if you really read this stuff, you can just see how talented these guys are at writing. And I know what I'm speaking of, because I write myself, and I know how difficult it can be. And these guys, man, they are just on point. And these guys are at the height of their writing powers, So that's book 1 of the Book of the Art, The Great and Secret Show. I give it 9.5 out of 10. We'll be reading this one soon and reviewing it. And then I don't know when book 3 is going to come out. Like I said, we've already been waiting almost 253 years for book 3.